Halfway through the regular season schedule, let us take a minute to look back. Welcome to So glad to see you. I'm Lauren Shehadi with your NASCAR report. Right off the bat, we're going to bring in Pete Pistone, our NASCAR expert, to help us out. And Pete, I want to start out by reviewing your recent article. There's some questions across NASCAR Nation this season, thanks mainly to attendance being off and television ratings fallen. You know, we spoke before, Pete, about the economy's effect on this sport in general, but the loss of television audience is the most alarming. What gives? Are you alarmed?
Well, I'm puzzled, I'll be honest with you, Lauren, because it would make sense to me that if more people can't afford to go to the races, they would be home watching it on television and the ratings would maybe go up or at least stay flat. They're down almost 13% in the first 13 races of the year. Now, my take on it is, as you know, all television ratings are down for most sporting events. So the audience becomes a little more fragmented. I think everyone's got a little more opportunity to do different things, to record DVRs, get their information through online entities like us here at CBSSports.com. And so I think that's part of it. But I also think the other part of it is that the racing needs to kind of ramp itself up. We need a little more excitement, I think. We need a little more compelling racing, and I think if that happens, people will return to the television sets. But yeah, NASCAR's looking at it and trying to figure out what they can do to get those ratings to go back up where they were maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
No doubt, but Pete, maybe they're TiVoing. I'm a big TiVo person, like you said.
I'm exactly hearing that from a lot of fans, and they'll go home and then they'll record it and TiVo it and then buzz through the commercials, which is also a bad thing for any sports property as well. So I think that's another part of this equation. They're trying to figure out if that's where some of this audience is going.
All right, Pete, let's get to the good stuff. The Sprint Cup Series heads to Pocono this weekend for the first of 2 stops this year. We could see a new wrinkle in the rule book before the green flag flies on Sunday. What's the latest, Pete?
Well, we talked about ramping up the excitement, and we talked about double file restarts after every caution flag, and it looks like we're going to have that this weekend, Lauren, and I think it's a great idea. Instead of a single file line of cars, when we go back green flag racing, the leaders will all double up. So you're going to have side-by-side racing. That will make things better. That will make things more exciting, I think, and that will raise the competition level. So even the drivers, most of them I talked to, are looking forward to it, and it looks like it's going to go into play Sunday at Pocono.
And this is already a challenging track, and add that whole another element of excitement. Why is this place so unique?
It's a triangle, you know. It's the weirdest track on the schedule, Lauren. If you take an overhead look at the place, it has 3 turns. It's a triangle. It's not an oval like most of the tracks we go to, and every one of those turns is different. They're tighter at one side, they're banked on another side, and it takes something really special to get through that lap because you go through these 3 different turns in terms of the driver and the crew chief getting that car set up. Try to do that for 500 miles, and you can see why this race is such a challenge.
Absolutely, Pete. We're already, look how time flies. We're already starting the second half of the regular season. We always talk about that group of guys, you know, outside looking in. But now it's kind of the time where you think those guys got to get in. Are there any big surprises in that group?
Well, I think the 2 biggest ones for me would be Casey Kane, who is now 14th, and he's actually on the incline a little bit. He had a good run last week. They've got the new Dodge engine. I thought he'd have a better season. He still has some time to move his way in there. Dale Earnhardt Jr., another guy, I don't know if he's going to have the time with the new crew chief to learn. I mean, he comes in 18th in points. But the biggest surprise to me has been Kevin Harvick. I mean, that whole Richard Childress Racing squad, to me, outside of Jeff Burton being in the top 12, having just really a tough time, and I really thought that Harvick and that 29 car would be better than they are. They're going to have a big mountain to climb here, and I'm not so sure Kevin's going to be able to make the playoffs here with only 13 races left to do it.
You know, Pete, you mentioned Casey Kane. Carl Edwards and Kane won last year's races at Pocono. We mentioned how this is just a unique track. Are they the favorites to get into victory lane, or does that not have any weight?
I think they're favorites. I think, again, what you did last year, though, with this new car, Lauren, really doesn't matter because the setups are so different. But I would think that Carl, who hasn't won this year, amazingly, after winning 9 times last year, I think he'll be a favorite. I think Casey will be a favorite. But the other guy that used to own Pocono back in 2006, and the only way he prepared for it because he'd never seen the track was playing it on his Xbox, Denny Hamlin, and he went in there and won both races. I think Denny might have the video game out this week and get ready to try to get back to victory lane on Sunday.
There's so much technology going on. I'm not TiVoing this race, Pete. I'm watching it live. How's that?
I'll appreciate that. And I'll be heading up to Pocono looking forward to my heart-shaped bed, you know, because it's the honeymoon capital of the world up there in Pocono, Lauren.
Sounds good. I didn't know that. Thanks, Pete. And thank you for watching. For everything NASCAR right here on the site, I'm Lauren Shehadi. We'll see you real soon.